Wonderful. So welcome everyone to the Valo Fest, and if this is one of the many sessions you've been attending, then I hope you found some value from the other ones and had some fun. Yes, my name's Debbie Ireland. I'm from New Zealand and I work for a company called ShareThePoint. Well, actually I founded it and run it, and we do lots and lots of Microsoft 365 stuff. So lots and lots of training around all of the Office 365 suite and all the apps that are out there. And we also do conferences. So we organise the digital workplace conferences in New Zealand and Australia, which unfortunately we had to cancel for this year due to the COVID pandemic, but we will be back again next year, and we can't wait to be in person, because as much as I love sharing my knowledge, and this is invaluable for people all over the world because it opens up all sorts of doors with virtual events, there is nothing quite like being able to see people and talk to the person next to you. So can't wait for that to all happen. Okay, so today we are going to be talking about task management. And I guess this is one of my favourite topics because I've been a project manager for so many years, and I'm such a list taker and list keeper and have hundreds of them all the time. And I guess I've studied a lot on productivity and ways to improve the way that I work. So I'm going to start today by showing a couple of tips. Let's see why my thing's not working. It's all right. Tips to do with productivity and task management, and then I'm going to run through 3 demonstrations. One on personal productivity using the To-Do app. The next one on team tasks using Planner, and looking at how Planner and To-Do integrate using Microsoft Teams and how that all hangs together. To start with, I just want to look at productivity zappers, and I guess the thing is that if I look at a few statistics, we have about 25% of knowledge workers lose about 25% of their time dealing with the incessant stream of data that they have to handle, and this costs companies millions of dollars, or billions probably, every year. I found a couple of stats that I thought were really interesting, and that is, one of them was that every time you pull away from your project to check your phone or your Twitter feed or whatever, it takes, I think, 1,395 seconds or 23 minutes on average to regain your focus. So, you know, it saps your creativity, it increases your anxiety and all of that stuff. So the big thing is that I don't think we're aware how much these digital distractions are. And I've got this rule for myself personally where on my phone, definitely, I actually go to it and turn off all the notifications so that when I'm ready to go to Facebook, I go to Facebook and I can see everything, rather than it ruling the fact that it's popping up with all these notifications constantly. So it's about taking back control, I guess. The second statistic was around 98% of the population does not multitask. So that means only 2% of people can actually do this, even though we all like to think that we can, and I'm definitely one of those people. Well, they like to think I can. I don't know that I'm part of the 2%. But we're actually shifting backwards and forth between one task and another, and only 2% of us are actually proficient at this. So it is ineffective, so much so that apparently it reduces our productivity, or it slows down what we do by about 40% when we're switching tasks, or we're distracted, or we've got interruptions. And if you look at the average worker, every 11 minutes we get interrupted, and then we spend on average about a third of our day recovering from these distractions. So I guess the thing is, how do we look to actually improve some of these percentages, lower our level of stress, and produce better results? One book I really did like, if you've read it or not, or want to take a look at it, is called The One Thing. And he focuses on, or they focus on, what's the one thing you can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary. And it starts with the bottom of this little domino effect here, where if you're focusing on one thing and it slowly builds to what your daily goals, your weekly goals, and your long-term goals are, it's progressive. It's the fact that success actually builds on one thing and another, and it's all about narrowing your focus or your concentration onto one thing. So yeah, really like that book, worth taking a look at. The other thing I quite like is the analogy of having a to-do list versus having a success list. And if we look at the difference between these two, your to-do list, you've got survival, which is basically everything you have to do just to get through the day, versus what you've got on a success list is stepping stones to get to the next goal. So that's a lot kind of progressive, or using that one thing method. Also on your to-do list, they're usually trivial or unimportant tasks, whereas on a success list, they're essential tasks. On a to-do list, it's usually very long, and whereas a success list is short. And on a to-do list, it pulls you in all directions, whereas on a success list, it aims you in a specific direction. I think for me, and also disorganized directory as opposed to an organized directive, I quite like that one. But for me, I guess it's also about the endorphin hit, and I find that I get to the weekend even, and I write this big long list of all these things I want to do, and I find that on this list, I actually start ticking off, or I do the things that are really, really simple first, just so that I can tick them off and get the endorphin hit from having done it. And by doing so, it means that I'm not really focusing on that success list, I'm focusing on the to-do list. Had I just come up with 3 things that absolutely had to be done, I'd probably have a lot more success at actually doing it. And that's the thing, is being able to prioritize taking your big list down from 25, say, things on the list, taking 20%. So then you've got the top 5, and then taking that down to the top 1. And it kind of all comes back to that 80-20 rule, where you spend 80% of your time doing the unimportant type tasks versus 20% focused on what you actually should be doing. So it's trying to flip that one. The other great tip, I think, for task management is around time blocking. And this comes into a few different things. Focus, first of all, on what matters most, but for a specific period of time. There's a technique called the Pomodoro technique, which is, Pomodoro is a tomato in Italian, and it's called the Pomodoro technique because it uses a small kitchen plastic timer thing that's shaped like a tomato. And you set the kitchen timer for 25 minutes. And this is used to determine how much effort or how many Pomodoros you might need. So you do the activity for 25 minutes, then you take a 5-minute break, go for a coffee or a walk or something. And then you can actually work out how many Pomodoros or 25-minute segments it might take to actually do something, or just use it for time blocking. So I find it really good if I'm procrastinating on a specific task. Like if I've got a report I don't want to write, then I'll actually say, okay, 25 minutes, I'm just going to give it that. And usually you'll find that you'll achieve the things that you have to do anyway. Another way of looking at that might be that you only check email for a specific block of time, e.g. for an hour in the afternoon or whatever. The 1991 rule is actually from another book by Robin Sharma called The 5 a.m. Club, if you've ever heard of that, or if you want to read it, it's an awesome book. I follow his principles quite a lot, including getting up at 5 a.m. But this particular one is about, for the next 90 days, your first 90 minutes of work, make it focused on your single most important project. So for me, I've been doing this where I get up, do whatever my other routines are, and then I spend 90 minutes on one particular task. And I've done that for this entire year, and it has produced amazing results because I'm just focused on that one thing. I don't even let myself open up email or any other application until I've actually done that task. And yeah, the productive time's the other part of time blocking. But the productive time's more about when employees do their hardest work. And there is a little bit of a statistic around the fact that it's usually between 9 and 12. I think it's different for everyone depending on whether they're an early morning or a night person or whatever. But the point here is that the focus should be on outputs rather than inputs. So what you deliver in terms of results rather than you sitting at your desk for 5 hours. So, of course, this is all about forming new habits to enable you to master some of these practices, but that would be another session altogether. So let's get into some of the time management or task management things. I quite like this quote by Brian Tracy: 10 to 12 minutes invested in planning your day will save at least 2 hours of wasted time and effort throughout the day. And I totally think that's true. So that's why some of these tools that we have at our fingertips, like To-Do and Planner, are really, really good for this type of thing. So the first one we're going to look at is To-Do and Outlook and how they work together. And we'll actually look at how you can flag the emails from Outlook and have them show up in To-Do, and then how the tasks are synced back again. So I'm just going to play this first little recorded. I thought I was safer to record here, but anyway, the first thing I like to do is look through my emails. So I'm in Outlook at the moment, and I might have to go ahead and flag them for follow-up if they require actions. So I'm going to flag this one for today, and we'll come back and take a look at where that's going to appear later. My list of tasks to be completed can be seen down here, and if I wanted to, I could open up the entire list of tasks from Outlook, which I'm going to do here. And if you see here, I can see my complete to-do list. And if you're used to using tasks in Outlook, this is a great way to see things that you have coming up and where they're going to be due. And I can also change how they're arranged so that the views, I can see them by the type. So whether it's a message or a task that I've set, and also by the folder. The folder view we'll talk more about once we get into the To-Do app, but you'll notice down here that these are actually individual lists of tasks that I've created. So it's a way for me to categorize my tasks, and all this is pulled through from To-Do. So I can drill into one particular list, like this demo one here, and I'm going to come in and mark one as complete. So I can actually do this directly from Outlook if that's where I'm working at the moment. And I can flag one with a date because it hasn't got a date, so that I know when it's going to be followed up. And then I can also say, well, this particular one requires a meeting, so I'm going to schedule a meeting in Outlook directly from my to-do list. And I'll invite Shannon and Josh to come and discuss this particular item with me, make it a Teams meeting, and go ahead and send it. So now let's look at the To-Do app, which I've got open here, and I've pinned it as an app on my taskbar down at the bottom, which makes it easy for me to get to. I've got several different views here, tasks that I've marked as important, ones that have been assigned to me. So the important ones, ones that have been assigned. So they're ones that are come from Planner, emails that I've flagged, and my general tasks that are not categorized into a particular list. And you'll see down the bottom here that I've got all of the lists that I showed you from within Outlook. I've chosen to create groups of lists. So this is my personal one, and it's got a whole lot of personal lists. And this is just a different way of categorizing them again. So that's a group of several lists. And then I've got all my collaboration ones, and I've got a group called strategy. In my planned view, I can see all of my tasks that have a due date, regardless of which list they belong to. This one was a flagged mail, and this one from the Debbie and Shannon collaboration list. And I'll even see tasks assigned to me in the Planner app. So it's a holistic view of all the things I need to do in date order. I quite like this view because it does pull it all together. I can also create a new task very easily from here. I've forgotten to put the rubbish out lately, so let's put a task called put bins out. And I'm going to add that to a list like my at home one, and I can add a due date or a reminder in case I need it to happen every week. As we talked about before, you can have tons of things going on, but you need to either flag specific things as important which you can do so they appear in the list here, or examine what you actually want to achieve today and focus on that. This is what my day filter is. For example, if this item is something I'm focusing on today, I'll add it to my day. When you open the task, you can see the detail like I've just shown you here. You can set up reminders, you can set little checklists, and anything that's relevant to a specific one. But it's the adding it to my day that kind of filters through all the tasks you have and make them relevant to what you absolutely urgently need to do, or going back to those principles of your success list. Then you can actually look at your My Day filter to see the top 3 things you might want to focus on. The To-Do app also gives you some suggestions for things you might want to add in as well, because they're overdue, or they were on your My Day list yesterday and didn't get ticked off, or you can add it and do what you want. So it does give you that advantage as well. Okay, so just to show you, this is just a screenshot just to show you that the To-Do in the Outlook web app also mirrors the To-Do app. So it's a lot more similar looking than Outlook on your desktop. Just before I go on, I'm just going to quickly, because I can't see the screen, I've got lots of screens open here, just to check there's not any questions, but feel free to ask any questions and I'll keep an eye on that, or I'm sure you'll unmute your mic and let me know, but it looks like we're all good, so I will keep going. Okay. Team task management's next, and this is great for progress updates, transparency, so everyone can see what's happening and what's going on, and then again for having information all in the one place. So we've got lots of reporting and so forth that you can get from it, and depending on the types of tools that you use already for team task management. This is actually using Planner and showing you a few details in there. So the integration here is showing between Planner and Outlook, and how from Planner you can get your notifications in Outlook, and you can also, if you want to, go ahead and synchronize the calendar view of all the tasks so that you can see that in Outlook as well. And I'll give you a bit of a view of what this looks like. So I'll be emailed when comments are added to the task so that I stay alerted without even needing to go to the Planner app. I get an email when I've been assigned a task with a direct link to Planner from within that email. I can, of course, manage this in my notifications. The task opens up in the Planner hub within the Planner app, and the new task that I've been assigned has been opened with all the information about the task is on this particular card. So I'm just going to go ahead and update a few things here. This one's now in progress, so I can change that. I can set the priority level to important. I'm not so worried about a start date, but I do want a due date on every task. And there's space for a description if I want to write one. And I can break it down into steps, which is kind of like what we did in To-Do, but I'm going to also put some brackets of the initial of which person I think needs to be completing each step, so it's clear who is doing each part. People assigned to the tasks are up here at the top, and but Patrick, but I like having the initials as well. So I can add people so that multiple people are assigned to the particular task, but I use the initials to break down the steps. You could set them as individual tasks, but I prefer to do it like this. We've tried a few different ways. I can actually link to other items like files and have that so it's all accessible. And I can choose to show that on the card, or I can choose to show the checklist on the card so we can see it when I look at the overall task board. And in the comments down the bottom, I quite like this area because as people get going on the task, they're all kept together there, but people can add their own comments and we can see how that all looks throughout the progress of whatever you're working on. And I can also categorize things using a label, and the changes are saved automatically, so I can go ahead and close that task. This is the board for the operations task plan, which is my plan for the operations team. And I've got multiple plans, some of them listed down the side here. And because I'm in the Planner Hub, so I'm in the actual Planner app at this stage, and I'll show you Teams later, but it allows me to choose which plans to bring front and center. Favorite to see an overview of a particular one, and then remove from the favorites if I don't want to see it. So it gives you a good overview of what's happening across my plans. The My Tasks view shows me all of the tasks assigned to me, and I can group them together in different ways, like by plan or by the due date. Let's take a closer look at how our plan's organised. So we've got buckets up the top here where you can categorise the tasks and you can define the buckets in a plan. So for example, if I work in one area of the team, I could just look at that one bucket that relates to me. And you can choose what to display. I displayed the checklist on that earlier example, but you can see here I've got the actual document. And you can see how the label is shown also on the actual front board here. So it's a good summary view of everything. One thing we've found really useful from a process point of view, and I can see attachments too, how many attachments there are there. And I really do like those attachments, because then everything to do with that particular task, it might be a link to a video or a Teams conversation or a OneNote file or whatever I want, everything's all easy for me to get to, all within that one task, which has been really, really handy from a process point of view. So the whole process is actually managed through that individual task. I can change the way that the tasks are displayed, so I can group them, for example, by the due date, which makes it easy to see where something might be late. And in this case, it's been highlighted as an important task. So especially if I want to find out why it's late, I can investigate and yes, I can see why, which is pretty useful as a manager. I can get to the information without actually needing to be assigned to that task. If I group the task by who they are actually assigned to, I can gauge workloads and assign or reassign resources using drag and drop. So you can change the grouping that you need at any time. The other view I quite like is the schedule view, which I find quite useful for looking not just at an overall schedule to find out that, but you can see here, I can see which ones haven't got an actual task due date assigned, so I can drag and drop them onto the calendar and it'll automatically give them one. And then I can go to the chart view, which gives me a graphical overview of what's happening. So as a manager, I want to have the anomalies highlighted and things like what's coming up that's late, or from a priority point of view, and what's happening in each bucket, or to look at the resources across a project to see who's been assigned and what's not been assigned. So that gives you a bit of a look at Planner. We'll now take a look at actually bringing it all together, which is actually using Microsoft Teams to do and Planner all in the one place. So this isn't just about, it's about me managing my personal tasks, but also me being part of a team and within a team. And while I'm not doing a Teams demonstration at the moment, my analogy when I talk about Teams is usually looking at it as being the desktop and the place that you work most. So you want things to be all available to you from within that Teams desktop. And the integration points here are that we had the ones I'm just kind of showing you right back from the beginning here. So Outlook, flag emails, and they go to your to-do list. And then you can sync tasks, which are then shown inside of Outlook. And then you've got your notifications and your calendar, which come from Planner. And then, of course, you've got the assign to and the task updates within Planner, within Teams. And all of that can be set up either as notification and chat, so that your planner, when things are done within Planner, they come through within your chats and your activity feeds. And they can also be set up so that you can see your plans within a team channel as a tab, or you can go to the Planner Hub like we just did. So let's take a look at this one then. I'm back in the To-Do app, and I just want to show the integration points. So first of all, Planner, the Assign To view here displays all the tasks that are from the different plans that I belong to. So I can look at this view, open up the task and update the date if I need to, right within To-Do. I could complete it from here and I can add it to my day. Or I could do all of this from within my planned view. But it does make you remember that you do have to put a date against any task for it to appear in the planned view. If it doesn't have a date, it's not going to show up in here. The other really useful things I find is using shared list. So I've grouped all my shared list under the group heading collab. We use shared list a lot for just one-on-one things because we don't spend a lot of time in the office together, and when we're catching up we have a definitive list to review. This is a place of, in place of a lot of emails, and this particular list is shared between Shannon and I, but I could access or manage the access or invite someone else into it. So it's great because as soon as I think of something, rather than sending an email, I just add to this list, and same as the rest, I can add a step into it. I can add it to my day. I could go ahead and add it to, assign it to Shannon here, but because it's only for her and I, we don't usually really do it like that. But I can look at the notes that either of us may have added. And I can also go ahead and create a new task. I'm going to put in here, review the OneNote course, and I'll mention her, and then she'll know when she looks at her to-do that that's been added. I could also put a reminder or schedule a date on it so that it'll then appear on our list. And if something's been done, I could go ahead and remove it or move it to another list. So if we want to, we can say, well, that's no longer about the two of us. Let's go ahead and tick it off, or move it to another list. And I can scroll down and I can see what not only I've completed, but perhaps what she's come in and completed in the meantime. So yeah, the collab lists are great. With any of the lists, you can actually right click on them to see a few extra features. So you can choose to pin it to the start bar. And by doing that, when you click on your Windows key at the bottom left of your screen, you'll see that I have one, I have my day one here, so I can see at a glance what that is, and two other projects I'm working on at the moment. Nice and easily, so if you click on them, they'll take me immediately to where they are. So that's just integrating it with Windows 10 if you want to. Now I'm going to move to Teams, where a lot of this information is being pulled together. I've got notifications every time I get a new task, so I can see that I've got an unread chat, and this comes up on my planner as a chat as well. I've pinned that to the top of my chat so I can come and I can see everything in one place. Some people don't like having the chat here, but it's okay for me. I can view my all my tasks, for example, by progress, or if I want to change anything, or if I want to see things across all the plans. It's a nice, easy way for me to do this from within Teams. This is the same as what I get inside the Planner Hub, but it's available to me within the Teams environment. Or I can look at Teams, things from a team-centric point of view. So I've gone into the operations team now, and I know it's only limited to the people who have membership to this team. And in this channel, I can access the conversations, the posts, the files, and I might have a notebook, and I might have forms. And here is the same plan we looked at before, so I can see all the buckets. I can choose to change my grouping, to look at another view, and I can look at the charts and the schedule and everything else, and go ahead and update everything that we saw before, but it's where I'm working. So if I'm working within the Teams environment, that's great. And if I need to, I can actually expand the tab out, or I could actually go to the Planner Hub itself and open the full plan from here. Just as an FYI, Planner and Team only shows tasks and plans that are created as teams, as tabs in Teams. But yeah, we'll take a look at that. So the next bit here is to look at something that isn't quite out yet, and that's called tasks in Teams. So this is what consolidates personal tasks from to-do and team tasks from Planner into a single comprehensive view, but within Teams. So you'll see down here, it's got another icon in your sidebar. I've just forgotten what the name of this is, but anyway, the underneath the calendar, you'll see it come up when it is available, which it's supposed to be available, I think, in the next couple of months. I haven't seen it yet, so these are just screenshots. Unfortunately, I can't show you. But I think the best thing from when I've looked at it is this list view. It's going to come out with a list view that we can see all of the tasks, and very much kind of like the to-do view gives you, but it's all embedded within the Teams environment. There is a tiny weeny little video that you can see here that shows you that it's got that assigned view, but again, the list view. And then within the team, you can come in, you can see the board, you can see the charts, but it's a very integrated look, and I'm all right within my Teams environment to see that, which is kind of cool. Yeah, so as I said, that was a really short thing on that, but hopefully it gives you the idea. And I think the main advantage that it's bringing to us is that list view, which is more of a, if you use other task management tools, it's a little bit more like that. Okay, so I think I am done with that. I do have, if you have a phone on you and are able to scan that QR code, a little feedback form that if you want more information from us or want to give us just a little bit of feedback on the presentation you've just seen, we love to know what we're doing right and what we could do better. So please feel free to fill that in or tell us what other webinars you'd like to see from us. And then I'm just going to come back to my screen and see if we have any questions.
Yes, I think we do. At least Johanna has raised her hand. So yeah, Johanna, please go ahead. You can unmute your mic and ask the question.
Hi, Debbie. Good morning from Finland.
Hey, good evening.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for the great session. And just looking for some recommendation. We have a team around 10 people, and we use Task Manager, but everybody uses it in very different levels. Some are like super detailed, and some are like really broad. You know, like really big overall. So we kind of like are having a difficulty finding a balance like that. We will have, you know, like a good overall picture of what's happening in our team. But like, do you have any recommendation? Where shall we start? Is it just like having a template like ready, like what's the right level, or do you have some tips for this one?
I think my tip would be it's really important to try and, like you say, you all work very differently, and you really some people are very detailed and need all that detail, and some people don't. So we've got, for some of our projects, we only keep the very top level tasks in the plan, and then all the detail goes into OneNote, to be totally honest. So the things that are, for the people that are really detailed, they keep all the little checklists inside of OneNote, and we sometimes just put a link from the planner task to the OneNote. So it sort of satisfies me from an overall point of view, because I can see the big picture. But then for the people who are doing the task and they need to go through the entire process and all of the detail, they can look at the OneNote, and that's where we keep all the notes and all that kind of stuff. So we use a combination of tools, and and I think it's kind of, you got to do what works for you. Just because the tool's there, it doesn't mean you have to use it. And for some projects, we don't use Planner at all, and other ones, they work perfectly. And it's taken a little while for us to figure out which ones we should and which ones we shouldn't. And I think that that's probably the most important thing, is for people to realize that it's got to work for you. So yeah, does that answer it?
Yeah, yes, it does. Yeah, because I think we're a little bit maybe banging our head against the wall, try to, like everybody works, the same way, because we are all, of course, different. So kind of maybe finding the balance, like that you can find your own way, but still get the needed level of the overall project. So maybe we will, like not just to stick to,
Yeah,
keep
absolutely.
your, like tied to that one tool in a way. But that was a really good tip. Thank you so much, and thanks for the session.
No worries.
Okay, do we have any other questions now? It would be really good chance to ask from the specialist. I know that task management is for any project manager, team leader, like pretty much central part of the job actually. And since the Microsoft 365 platform offers so much tools to use it, so it can even be a bit overwhelming without combining these different tools like Debbie has shown in this presentation. So that would be a great chance to make some questions about that.
Yeah, I actually, it's interesting because as a project management's been my past, and I used to use Microsoft Project a lot, and I think if you're doing massive big projects, you still want to use some of those Microsoft Project tools because they have all the critical path and everything. But as far as ease of use, Planner's really good because everyone can just go in and they get it and they can open it and they can update it and you can see the comment thread and all of that good stuff. So it's been a good one to help people get on board without having to go to the complexity of project. Like you say, it's sort of, there's so many tools and it's you want to make it simple, but yeah. Yes, any other questions? Everyone's quiet.
Yeah, you just, no more questions left. You kind of answered it all already, so I guess.
No worries.
So